so thyroid. Okay, so this is a big deal. And I estimate 70% of all women. How many of you women here have thyroid problem? Probably a bunch of you. Yeah, it's so common. And there is autoimmune thyroid problem, and there is the hypo and hyper, and then there's the thyroid cancer. And so we have two kind of cells in the thyroid. You have follicular cells. Follicular cells make your thyroid hormones, and it needs iodine. So where do we get iodine? Well, we eat seaweed. How many of you eat seaweeds? You eat dolls, kelp? Oh, great. So you get some iodine. You might need to take some more. Now, there's a lot of iodine on the market, and the only one we want to use is ionic, 100% bioavailable. You can find it on the website under Well Iodine. And what a protection that is. So what is thyroid so sensitive to? Radiation. So I wear my cell phone here. Don't ever do that again, okay? So you have the cell phone on speakerphone. Here, it works right on your poor thyroid. Any radiation is working on the thyroid. Then you have infections, especially Epstein-Barr infection is very, very tough. So what happens is thyroid is totally under checked, under research, and it is misunderstood big time. So many of you might be on thyroid medication, and you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. Long time ago, one of our former guests, who was a medical doctor specializing in thyroid, he taught me that Hashimoto, which is called an autoimmune, is not a normal thyroid problem. Why are you on medication for Hashimoto? So Hashimoto, for example, very much have to do with Epstein-Barr and maybe other infection. What does Epstein-Barr do in your body? Well, it thrives on dairy and eggs and mold and pesticides and chemicals and all the animal food that you're eating. And even heart problems, even you being stressed is a big deal, and radiation, of course. So there's so many factors that you're not told about. So how do we clean this? How do we clean up pesticides, fertilizers, chemicals that we're bombarded with? Sauna. So the far infrared sauna is amazing to pour, as the skin is the largest elimination organ, sweat it out. Chlorella is an algae that is amazing to clean up heavy metals, so take a lot of them. I've seen results where lead, mercury, arsenic was super high when they tested their metals. And after 3 months of heavy use of sauna and chlorella, and of course a live food diet, it's gone. You cleaned up. So, you know, for example, Dr. Mona, who worked with the kids in Flint, Michigan, she will tell you that number one thing is loads of nourishment for these kids. That is what they need. And they need a lot of behavior therapies. It's going to go on and on and on for a long time. And they will get better. But imagine if they also had the saunas and they have 100% the live food. I wish we could work together. So Brazil nuts, pumpkin seeds, sprouted lentils. Of course, these are high in iodine. And even some apples to help. So this is your command center. The thyroid is the one that brings, of course, pineal gland is taking care of all the levels and directing everything but for the thyroid. But this is like the computer. It gets all the information about homeostasis, the balance in your body, and it gives out information. So this has to work. This thyroid has to work. So let's clean it up. Let's support it and protect it from radiation. Get your iodine either from seaweeds or take extra iodine. Selenium, very important to support your thyroid, and so is zinc. And most of us don't get it from soil. You might think the vegetable you look at have the right color, they're greener than green, they have all of the minerals. They don't. They don't. So protect your heart. American Heart Association say that more women die in the year after their first heart attack, 26% compared to 19 of men. We have a different deal. You know, when you take an angiogram, we might look perfectly fine, and we could have a heart attack a few hours later and be walking and talking and not know that it happened, because we mainly have small vessels heart attack. Small vessels tears, it doesn't show up in an angiogram. Men have this great grand coronary arteries heart attack, so that it shows up. It shows up. And then on top of it, so let's say as a woman we have a heart attack, we end up much more in long-term care afterwards. And like you see, more of us die after that heart attack. So men survive it usually so much better. So how do we keep our veins and our arteries clear? There is a test for arterial and venous flow. That's what we need. So, you know, the venous flow goes into the heart, and the arterial is what's going out of the, and that flow will show also that our small vessels are working, because our arteries are usually clean. In most tests, it's clean. So then the angiogram says, well, you're fine. So how do we keep that elasticity of our system for our heart? We need to eat nourishing food. Non-food is what they are. You know, they're a big lie. We kind of, you know, because people believe, our corporation have a belief, right? Corporations believe that dairy is the only way to get calcium, and that meat is the only way to get good protein. A lot of athletes come to us, and they have been taught that that's what they have to do. And they are destroying their system. But, you know, an athlete has only so many years, and they give. And then they're dropped like a hot potato, and they can't give anymore. When they turn 100% vegan and on live food, they will last. Like Tom Brady, that's lasting now. You know, it's, you're seeing when somebody goes on a vegan diet, what that's going to do to them. So we need to protect your heart by eating right, by exercising. And what do we take? So CoQ10, of course, is great. Magnesium is great to take. And B12 we always take anyway, and the enzymes to help a good digestion, so I digest well. But stop eating non-food. Now, then they found, and we also get to menopause, but menopause, the more hot flashes I have, the higher risk for heart attack. Imagine that. So not only you are suffering because you have hot flashes, and women tell me all the time, it's terrible, all night they're like in and out of the bed, they're changing clothes. So why do we have hot flashes? So I went through menopause 15 years ago, and maybe it's more, 48, I'm 63. No, it's about 15 years ago. And what are you supposed to expect when you go through menopause? Well, I used to read a lot of books, and Northrop and you know, anybody, Gail Shee, anybody who's writing books about menopause. And it was horror story. Oh my God, everything, and including your sex life, everything is gonna stop, and you will be this murmuring little lady that can't think. And it doesn't happen, right? And then you realize we were supposed to transition into this amazing life. You're not going to make kids anymore, although you might try, but you're not in that place anymore. You don't have those hormones. Your adrenals still makes the hormones you need. Where do I get hormones? From the food. These foods are loaded with good hormones. These are plant hormones. These are not animal source hormones. That is a totally different deal. And by the way, going back to the baby being born, what's the amazing food that the baby should have? Mother's milk, yeah. So what is so good with mother's milk? The lactose is even different than it is in cow's milk. It's totally different story. And it has the carbohydrates, the proteins, the sugar, and it has the immune system for us because we get the antibodies from our mom. So we're constantly kept really, really strong. And things happen. Children will get infections. And you know what infections are doing? Building their immune system. It's just like when you go to the gym. Like Brian and I was at the gym this morning. Why do we go to the gym? Because we want to get stronger muscles and bones. And we want to keep active. Because as long as we live, we want to keep active. So the same thing with an infection. So here comes the pathogen, the bacteria, the virus. And the baby's immune system will do what it can, but the mother's milk will send antibodies, and it will go after that infection like, don't you dare. And it's just so amazing. I used to look at blood under microscope and magnify it 10,000 times. I could see it. I could see it happen. I could see the Pac-Man, the white blood cell, go after pathogens. It's just magic. So, of course, mother's milk for the next 2 years is the best thing that any child could ever ask for. Now, most of us, my generation, we got formula. So we got a kind of a bad start, because what do we get from our mothers right as we go through the vaginal tract? We get microbes. Within 20 minutes, all the microbes that mom had, we will have. In 20 minutes, it will be a part of us, and that is what's supposed to be with us for all our life. That's a big part of our immune system. More than half of our immune system comes from our gut. And if I'm C-section, then I get it from her breast, from the milk and the nipple, the microbes that mom had. Well, if I got none of those, if I had C-section and I didn't get mother's milk, guess what? You know, you always see newborn babies, they suckle on your skin. You know why? They want the microbes from your skin, because we have it on our skin. So sooner or later, we should build up our microbes. Now, so there's many ways, many roads to Rome that leads, you know, there. And the thing is, when you go back to the heart, it is a big transition also when your thyroid has problem. I need to tell you, so anytime that hormones changes, puberty, pregnancy, and menopause, that's usually when thyroid is messing up because of our lifestyle. That's when we have problem. A lot of young girls have it already in puberty. Pregnancy, my mom had problems with thyroid. She got the goiter. She had big problems, lots of surgeries during her pregnancy with my brother. And menopause, that's when we blame everything. Because now we've had 50 years, 50 years to mess up, and now we blame that on everything.